Danny sent a little bit about Australia.
Insane what's going on in Australia.
So Canada is, as we know, Canada is bad. But
Dude, Canada is
Australia
Texas compared to Australia.
It's nuts.
It's fucking crazy.
It's like they're making a point. You know what I mean? They want everyone to be like, so we'll just play a little bit of this puppy.
Yeah, it's extraordinary new rules that have come into force from today. Essentially, any Australian who is based overseas and comes to Australia, even just for a visit, well, they now need to be granted permission to leave. Now, ordinarily, if you were leaving to go back overseas, you'd simply just have to show your passport at the airport and off you go. But it's now designed to close a loophole to stop Australians based overseas from coming back for a visit, particularly given in the last few months the international arrivals cap has been halved due to Delta outbreak strains.
You can't leave if you. That's like if we went to Canada and they go, you can't go back to America right
yeah,
now.
you need government permission to leave. It's Hotel California.
Yeah.
They literally, Australia just turned themselves into Hotel California.
So basically what happens is you go to Australia and they go, and then you go, okay, I'm going to get out of here. They go, where you going, mate? Oh, oi, you live here now, mate?
Yeah.
You think you want to go to the beach since you live here? How's that?
That's not bad. Well, I think people will like that one.
Mate?
I told you, they had the athlete who went out on his balcony and they go, he just put the entire league at risk because during his 14-day quarantine, he stepped out on a balcony outdoors.
These people in Australia are fucking
and that's
nuts.
what they said.
And they go on, they go, oh, they don't have like a constitution.
Yeah, they don't have any charter. You have no rights.
Yeah. There was a big anti-vax rally in New York the other day. And I tell you, Daniel Polishchuk.
How many masks did you burn?
This is one of those things where it's gotten to the point where, it's just the whole internet, this has become the cardinal issue for sure, right? Of people being like anti-vaxxers are the worst thing in the world. And then people, conservatives being like free, the whole thing, freedom, the passports, their cardinal issue, right?
Yeah.
And I'm starting to think the good news is everyone is arguing about the vaccine and the passports, and nobody is paying attention to jokes anymore. I think the boys are kind of back.
As long as you don't joke about the vaccine.
How many people that their whole thing was like, you're sexist, you're racist.
Yeah.
They're like, you're a murderer.
Totally.
Anti-vax.
Yeah, they got a new hill.
They got a new hill. And it's a nicer hill. I like them on that hill, to be completely honest. I
agree, actually.
They all got psyoped from the government, right? But it is one of those things where people go, you're out there being like, hey, we're making fun of, doing videos about gay people and, stuff that would be touchy subjects. And they're like, hey, what are you doing? And you go, you think that's bad? This guy's burning a mask. And they go, what? This pilot said he doesn't want to wear a mask.
Yeah, he keeps calling it the plandemic.
Yeah,
what?
That guy over there, this guy had a party with 10 people.
10 of his family members.
They look over, they go, what is this stuff you're saying on your podcast? And you go, you think that's bad? A guy just had a fucking party with his family. And they go, oh, round up the troops. And this is the cardinal issue for everyone right now. And we're free to do dude shit. We're free to do dude shit.
Boy shit.
And it is one of those things, because I'm not, obviously, I agree with, that I think the lockdowns this is over. Mm-hmm. If you have a vaccine, you're safe.
Delta you just
smoke.
look at the fucking chart of deaths for Delta.
They don't want to look at deaths. They're all about cases.
I know. Uh-oh.
Deaths don't help their thing a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then the government, it's one of those, it's the classic Stockholm syndrome where the government, and
although I will say, one thing regarding COVID, because everybody's like, it's whatever, it's nothing. So we just did a podcast last night at Gas Digital, and the producer there, I don't know if you know that, just got out of like a crazy COVID bout. And you're just yeah. And he's just like, I'm telling you, man, these guys are fucking the ultimate, everybody there's like, the vaccine's stupid, it's pandemic, whatever. And no, they are that. That's what Gas Digital is. They're not like, what? Yeah. No, that's what they are, right? And he was like that too. And he's literally like, he's like, as soon as I can get this vaccine, he's like, that was fucking hell. And from the sounds of it, there's a real chance for him that this is going to be an extended thing. This wasn't just the worst 2 weeks of his life and it's over.
What do you mean an extended thing?
Because he had severe lung issues.
Gotcha.
And you're like, those don't necessarily go away.
Right. Well,
And he was a guy who was like anti-vax, and he was literally like, the day I can get it.
He wasn't anti-vax.
Not anti-vax,
No,
but he was. They were like, whatever. It's whatever.
He wasn't, though.
Or he wasn't. Okay.
No.
Well, but he didn't. He could have been vaccinated.
I guess he didn't get it. Yeah.
Dude, he had 6 months. Like, he chose not to.
Yeah,
There was a reason for it. And I mean, he wasn't pro-vax anyways. He's in an environment where literally everybody would be
I
like,
would say most people we know probably has it. And it's like, if you want to go back to Canada, you had no choice. And I think a lot of people have that. Dude, the fucking comedy clubs. I know some people are like, oh, well, I'll just never perform in a comedy club again.
Yeah, okay.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like never go back to Canada, never perform in a comedy
But this
club.
is one of those things where, yeah, exactly.
Anyways, my point is what I'm saying is a lot of people are like, and it's like that dude is like, it's interesting when you see people who kind of switch because they're like, oh,
Right.
that fucking sucked a lot. And like, dude, he's like, he doesn't even have his lung capacity back. Like, as someone who like, I have, obviously Jewy, but I have like the mildest of asthma. And you're like,
you'd get smoked by COVID.
oh, dude, I had it. It was, but I am, dude, I was.
You didn't have it, did you?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, you kind of did.
No, I for sure had it.
If
I
you
lost
had a
my
bad
smell.
one, it would smoke you.
Dude, but more importantly, like if you've ever been like wheezing or like kind of short of breath, it sucks so badly.
Not fun. Yeah.
It's for even like the most minor thing. And then you're like, you fucking lose 50% of your lung capacity. You're like, that sucks.
Well, I've been even on top of that.
Anyways, do what you want, but I'm just saying.
That's always
it was an interesting thing to see. Yeah, it's like the smoking. I go, do what you want.
Everyone should be, and obviously the take is don't do what you want. But my point is, even
what we want.
The government is kind of like the part that I don't believe is like they're kind of saying, oh, the reason that it's still locked down is because people won't get vaxxed or whatever. And it's like I don't really believe any of that.
No,
I believe that they kind of were going to do, and it's one of those scapegoat thing. Like I was watching that Dictator show or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And it was kind of interesting. But like the number one thing always for everyone on every side that wants to do that wants more government control is like we need to find a group to blame it on. So for them, it's you can't go outside because of this. You know what I mean? So, but on both of the sides, it's one of those things where you're like watching it and I go, it's bad optics to be. Who wants to be the safe guy, but who also wants to be the like? I'm not gonna be the like the on the internet anti-vax guy because he's just not like who wants to be that guy.
Of course, agreed.
It's like one of those things where you pick your
I mean, I'm not making anything COVID my identity.
That's probably a good way to put it.
Yeah, I don't like the thing is people's fucking identity kind of just goes with the wind where they go like, yeah, my identity is like whatever's just in fashion and it changes all the time. And
this
I'm
is
just
a complicated one.
Yeah,
but
I'm not.
But the point that I was trying to make that I've been trying to spit out for the last like 5 minutes, but it's just like a kind of a complicated one, so I've been struggling with it. But my point is kind of that on both sides. But you see, like for example, even if you agree with like that you disagree with this stuff or whatever, you like that preacher. You were talking about preachers. There was a preacher out there being like, you do not need the mask. You need God and this and that, right? And like, even if you agree with that guy, like remember that guy's getting rich.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of conservatives out there that like know that this is the rallying cry right now. And they're getting everyone, but like, just remember they're getting rich.
Yeah.
Like, remember that all those people are making money and telling you to like be soldiers
for sure.
They get
and
rich.
also
on whatever side.
People who seek out stuff like that are looking like pretty much everyone who seeks, you see everybody like whatever side they're on, they post like a fucking thing that's for their side. And you're like, they seek out the stuff that like confirms your bias,
right?
How you already felt, and you go, yeah, this is like you were already on that team. You were never not on that team.
Yeah, and everyone's here's my numbers, and someone goes, here's my numbers.
Exactly. You go, I have a study that says this. You go, I have a study that says this. You go, oh, that's not peer review. You go, like whatever. It's like you're gonna always find your own thing. Like there's always gonna be studies that prove one thing, studies that prove the other thing. We'll figure this out in fucking 5 years.
Let me add one thing to my point is that one of the problems with like most conservative positions, and whether you call this conservative or freedom or whatever, is that the other side doesn't understand the first principles of what you're trying to say. So they just see you as crazy. Like for this one, there's a lot of the country, they don't understand the idea of like why you would need guns, for example. Like if you're a gun person and you're like, the reason we need guns is to fight tyrannical government, blah, blah, blah. Like most people would have no clue what the fuck you're talking about. They would just be like, what?
They're like, you're going to fucking shoot the government?
Yeah, right, exactly.
It's not like about
it's kind of like this when people are like, well, it's this vaccine passport thing. It's like, it's an infringement on, and they're just like, well, I don't, like everyone thinks of it in terms of if it was their house and they were like, if it was my house, why wouldn't we just all agree to like, get the vaccinated? Like what you'd be the dick in the house like that's how they all see it. So I don't think from an optics standpoint, it kind of reminds me of like you know, when people had criticisms of Black Lives Matter, you're like, no black guy is going to like listen to you and be like, oh, okay. You know, you just sound like crazy to them.
Yeah.
And it just drives like normal people away. And I know, but if you are the person that's like, this is your fight, this is your fight.
Yeah. And then you find all the stuff that.
And on that side, I'm just like, even if you are the person that your whole identity is like, if you get vaxxed, step away from this whole thing. If you have it, it's the government is not gonna make more decisions based on like the marginal people that are getting vaxxed based on all of these publicity campaigns. It has nothing to do with that.
No.
If it did, there would be a correlation between all that stuff. But if you look at states, there's no correlation between who's more open and who's more vaxxed. Like it's the opposite probably.
It's literally the opposite.
It's the opposite in countries. So if you go, and also they go, we get you go 2 vaccines. It's like, well, now you might need a 3rd one. So it's like, they're obviously not really fucking telling you the truth. So if you're a person that like has gotten vaccinated and you're out there like chanting the drum, just know you're chanting the drum for people that are lying to you. And if you're a conservative, just know you're chanting the drum for people that ain't fucking listening.
No, that's for sure. Yeah. You're like, dude, the amount of people
the only thing is people are thinking you're weird.
Yeah. So the amount of people whose opinions are changing on this stuff is like few and far between.
How do you think that was? Do you think I got through that?
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty cogent.
Yeah, I was kind of been like thinking about this one a lot, and I've honestly, it is one of those things. It's like such a this is one of the most complicated things that's probably ever happened in at least our lifetime, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't know if I always have like the, know exactly how I feel on it, but it switches around.